You have a great idea. You write a bill, you introduce it, everybody realizes you're right, and they vote for it, and it becomes law. That's how legislation works, right? Well, not exactly. Having served 8 years on the Newark, New Jersey City Council, I learned that writing legislation is relatively easy. Getting enough people to vote for it is the hard part. And sometimes getting something passed means accepting less than what you originally wanted. Let me give you a few examples. When I worked to pass what became known as ban the box legislation in Newark, the objective was pretty straightforward. People who had served their sentences and were trying to rebuild their lives shouldn't automatically be eliminated from employment opportunities because of their criminal records. And I believed in that legislation, but believing in something doesn't give you the votes to pass it. The business community had concerns, big concerns. So I worked with the pro-business Newark Alliance and ultimately accepted amendment language as part of getting the legislation passed and ultimately signed by Mayor Cory Booker. Now, was the final legislation exactly what I originally proposed? No. But here's the question every legislator eventually faces. Do I want 100% of my bill and 0% of it enacted, or can I accept a reasonable compromise that actually improves people's lives? That's legislating. And then there was my effort to create the Newark's LGBT Commission. Now, there was opposition from a lot of Newark clergy, and I listened to their concerns, including my own pastor. But ultimately, I believe the commission was important. We built the necessary support, and it passed. And there's another part of legislating. Compromise doesn't mean surrendering every principle. Sometimes you compromise, sometimes you stand firm. The difficult part is knowing the difference, and sometimes you simply lose. I proposed significant campaign finance reforms. Ultimately, I was only able to get about 1/3 of what I wanted enacted. And during my second term, I also proposed far-reaching environmental ordinances that I believe were important. They never passed. I didn't even have the ability to even get the votes to introduce them, and that's frustrating. But even introducing legislation doesn't entitle you to its passage. You have to persuade colleagues, build coalitions, work with stakeholders, respond to opposition, and ultimately count to however many votes you need. Here's something else politicians don't want to talk about enough. Even passing a law doesn't mean your work lasts forever. After I left office, some of the laws I worked on were weakened or reversed or never acted upon. Campaign finance reforms are an example. My apprenticeships and city construction projects has been scantily used since. And once you're no longer sitting in that chair, you don't have a vote anymore. That's democracy too. So what did I learn about passing legislation? I learned that there are really 3 outcomes. Sometimes you get the bill you wanted. Sometimes you get part of what you wanted. And sometimes you get nothing. But good legislators understand that public policy is usually a long game. Today's compromise can become tomorrow's foundation. Today's failed bill can introduce an idea that somebody else passes 5 years later. And today's victory can disappear if you don't build enough public support to sustain it. So when you judge an elected official, don't just ask how many bills did you introduce. That's easy. Ask how many did you pass? What did you have to change to pass them? Did those laws actually work, and are they still working today? Because introducing legislation can make a great press release. Passing legislation requires politics, persuasion, compromise, and sometimes the willingness to lose. And that's how legislation actually gets passed. This is Rice and Reason, the thoughts of a former elected official, law school graduate, and current husband, father, and advocate sharing practical insights on politics, culture, education, faith, and leadership. Subscribe to the channel, like and share the content, please. And remember to think, it ain't illegal yet. Our goal is 10,000, and we're trying to get there in the month of September. But I need you to tell people and share this content and join us. It's a big goal, but it's my goal. Join us and join the fight. Peace.